So I'm so excited to have finished my little trip to the Yorkshire Dales, which we went on as part of like our mini moon before our big honeymoon. So we went in July just for over the weekend, Friday to Sunday. And yeah, we just really wanted somewhere in the middle of nowhere with I wouldn't even want any signal or anything, so no one could get in touch with me. And it could literally just be me and Joe, because after wedding planning for 18 months I was really done with waking up and thinking about what I needed to do and organising things with everyone and talking to suppliers and organising guests. Like, I was just done. So I really wanted somewhere literally in the middle of nowhere. It was just us two and we could just go for walks and we could, you know, just explore and just be together. So we did find somewhere on Airbnb, which was really, really cool. So yeah, it's quite a thick album actually, but it came together quite quickly. I haven't done anything on the cover yet because I really like the cover and I'm not sure what I want to do. I think I might just stamp like something at the bottom here or down the side, but I think I'm going to leave it as it is because it's a nice cover. So I left the pocket in the front just because I did have some leftover bits and pieces that I wanted to put in here. I didn't really want to cut this one up or stick it in. I wanted to keep it as it was, so I just put that in the little pocket, and then these are just some leftover bits. I've got a postcard and some information about the national park. But yeah, I just sort of decorated the pocket a little bit. And same for this side. I just had some leftover sort of recipe cards that we got from the creamery, so I just thought I'd include that, and a little like this was from a patch that we got, but I just thought it was quite cute. So this is sort of like the title page. I wanted to include like a map of the area that we went to. We were around here, and yeah, it's just a really lovely place. So this was us driving. And I pretty much used up most of the embellishments. I used up all these flowers, which I really wanted to use. I used up my little wellies. I used a lot of twine. I used up quite a bit of washi tape. These were quite thick, so I knew I wasn't going to be able to use all of it. And I used up quite a lot of the collection from Simple Stories as well. So it was about 2.5 hour drive, maybe a bit shorter, maybe 2 hours. But we stopped because we couldn't check into our accommodation until about 3-ish anyway. We left around 11-ish and just stopped in a nice little town called Leyburn and had some lunch. We were actually going to this little cafe, but they were just so busy, and they did say to us it might be about a 45-minute wait for food. So we just went to the local bakery. Joe got like a pork pie or something, and I had a sausage roll and some carrot cake. And this carrot cake was one of the best I've ever had. So I tried to get the picture of the carrot cake as well as the bakery in the background. And then this was like the little market town, a postcard, and then we just carried on our way. I stuck in a lot of the postcards. So this was us driving through the countryside, and they had this random telephone box, and I still don't really know what it's for. But it's on Google Maps and everything, but I thought it was quite nice. I like the daisies that are outside it. So this is where we stayed. So we slept in this. So it's like a converted barn. And it was really cool because it was like 3 stories and had like a little balcony area and things, but it was just so peaceful. Like, these were all the fields that surrounded us, and we just, yeah, it was just nice. It's everything that I wanted. I did spend a long time trying to find somewhere like this because I didn't want a hotel, but then also I didn't want to be so off grid that we didn't have amenities nearby as such. Like, we still want to be able to walk and you know, be able to go to a restaurant or something like that. We didn't want to be in the complete sticks with, you know, nothing nearby, but we wanted a bit of everything really, and this was perfect. It didn't really have a name, in all honesty. I think it was called Dovecote maybe on Airbnb, but it's just a really nice place. But yeah, so this was the little walkway to get to there. This was like our front door. This was the view from this side. So there was like these barns on the other side that were obviously used by local farmers, but we didn't really see anyone there. And then this is not a very good picture, but we had loads of little birds all sort of outside our door most mornings, and they were really cute. I really wanted to feed them, but every time I opened the door they'd run away. But yeah, they were like little grouse things. They were just really, really cute. So this was inside. This was the bottom floor. So on the bottom floor, literally by this door, we had the bedroom and had the bathtub next to it. And then on the second floor, it had the kitchen, which was really nice, had a little stove that we didn't really use because it was summer. And then on the top floor, they had a sort of seating area where there was a TV and things. So that was nice. So it was like, yeah, 3 floors, but only 1 room on each floor. And these are some of the views that we had. So I enjoyed watching the tractors go around in the morning, and then another little random bird. So yeah, it was really just us, and I loved it. So these are just some pictures of us in the background. With the house in the background. I got distracted with the cat in the window, with the house in the background. So yeah, it was really lovely. We would like to go back, but it wasn't the cheapest, because it is very, very sort of quirky. So it does get booked up quite quickly. But yeah, it was really cool. And then in the evening, after we checked in, we went for a walk along the road and up into the fields, and you can see like the sun was really sort of nice at that time. And we walked up to these ruins, and they're called the Penhill Preceptory Chapel of the Knights Templar, which sound really suspicious. But yeah, it was really cool to see. So this was just the walk that we did and all the ruins, and this was the sign. So it's protected as a monument of national importance under the Ancient Monuments Act 1913. So I thought that was quite cool. And then I did stick in a patch that I got of the Yorkshire Dales National Park. And then that evening we went out for dinner, and we went to this pub, Aysgarth Falls hotel restaurant, which was really nice. So you can see it's all sort of covered in is it ivy? But it was really nice. And I'm surprised we actually got a seat, to be honest, because it was pretty booked up, but they managed to fit us in. They did start turning people away as soon as we walked in, so that was quite good. And I stuck one of my favourite postcards in there. So it's a piece about our food. So Joe had a starter, and then these were our mains. So we got some fries, and Joe got some Korean barbecue chicken, and I had the pie of the day, which was really nice. And this was just our receipt. I should have photocopied that, but I didn't. So that might fade, but we'll see how it goes. I just didn't think to photocopy it at the time. But this was an actual mistake. I forgot that we went here on the first night. I thought it was the second night, but when I was looking at the receipt, it said Friday. So I actually had to rip a page out the back and put it back in. So it's pretty sturdy in there. Like, it's not going to fall out or anything, but if you look closely, you can see that it is ripped in order to get it in, but I prefer it there. So then on the Saturday, we actually went for a big walk to Aysgarth Falls waterfalls, and we took the long way around, so we got to see all the animals and obviously walk through the countryside and things. So these are some of the sheep. This one was so cute. It was so tiny. But yeah, I enjoyed using up a lot of like countryside things like the daisies, and I loved using one of my washi tapes from Japan, the little cow one. So yeah, pictures of some sheep and cows. And these are just some of the little villages that you sort of passed. Nice big lakes and little countryside houses and roads. This was like a obviously decrepit sort of house, but I just thought it was quite nice and got us thinking about buying something like this and doing it up and living in the middle of nowhere. So just some more pictures of our walk. I did include these this leaflet that says 70 essentials, and it's like a tick box thing, which is quite cool. So you can tick off where you've been and what you've done and stuff like that. So I thought that was quite nice. We'll probably end up going back to the Yorkshire Dales, so it's always good for future visits. And then we did get to some little waterfalls, and there was no one there at all. So we managed to get some really good photos, just us. So this is Joe sitting on the bench just here, enjoying the views. So these were called Cauldron Falls in West Burton. So again, some more pictures of us. This was Joe taking a picture of me, trying to get a picture, like a scenic picture. Picture of both of us with the waterfalls in the background. Just enjoying it. As I said, there was no one there. It was actually school holidays as well, so I thought, you know, people would be out walking and with kids and stuff, but it was really quiet. I enjoyed cutting up a lot of my bags to put in. And I tried to use up a lot of these tags as well. I do struggle with tags. So yeah. So then we did get to Aysgarth area, and this is the big sort of map. It's got some information about walks and stuff, but it's got the big map there, so you can sort of follow that. But there was a load of signs anyway. I don't think I paid £2 for this map. I think it just came from the souvenir shop or the tourist information centre. But yeah, this was the falls through the trees, and then these were them from the outside. And we got there just before lunch, so you know we wanted to sort of see these and then go out for a nice lunch before we started to walk back. They're these really cool, the way the rocks have sort of formed due to the water. I was hoping there'd be some sort of like little animals in there, because from where I'm from, in the south of England, when the tide is out, there's a lot of rock pools and stuff, and you can find all sorts of like crabs and sort of sea life, but there wasn't anything here. So it was just little holes of water. But yeah, we enjoyed getting photos of us. We were there for about, I don't know, 15-20 minutes, and we sat down and just enjoyed the area before we decided to go for lunch. And we went to this little tea shop called Mill Race. It's a little sort of cozy sort of stone cottage, all wooden beams. They had like lovely homemade cakes and things, and these were our lunch here. So we just had some sandwiches, and then I did get some ice cream, and I loved it because it's proper Yorkshire Dales ice cream. That's nice. But I had a lot of stuff from here. I had like a business card. I had a few of these, so I was able to include those, which was nice. But yeah, I enjoyed using twine and things. I've used a lot of random bits in this album, like these and the twine, because I haven't used anything like that for a long time, so that's nice. And then we had to stop on our way back because I spotted these black and white cows, and I love black and white cows. I think they're adorable, and this one was exceptionally cute with its little black eyes. But yeah, we were driving. This was later in the day. We were driving back, and yeah, I had to make Joe pull over so I could take some pictures of the cows. And these are just some more pictures. We stopped and took some pictures of the scenery. I loved using all my cow stickers. This was from Simple Stories, and then this was from Jolie's Boutique. It's got a little bell on, so that definitely bulks up the album, but it's just such a cool sticker. And then later in the afternoon, we went to a place called Hawes, and it was really lovely. It was a nice high street. We didn't really have much to do. We were just wandering around, really. We didn't go for anything in particular, but it was just nice to see all the flowers in bloom and the animals surrounding it. And we walked around the town. We did stop and have a drink. Joe had a cup of tea, and I think I had a hot chocolate. But it was just a nice little town to walk through. There was a few shops that we stopped in. These are just some of the bits and pieces. So this was like a nice little like antique store and a church, and there was like a nice river that went through the entire village. So yeah, it was really, really pretty. We just spent the afternoon there. Like, can you imagine living just here with that in your garden sort of thing? Just so nice. And then on the Sunday before we came home, we headed back to Hawes because they did have the Wensleydale Creamery there. And we did like a little tour basically. So you can just wander around the museum for free. But if you want the tour, it was only like a couple of pounds, but it just meant you got to see how cheese was sort of made and a bit of history, as well as trying some cheeses and stuff. So this was the sign, and obviously some leaflets that I got. And these are some bits from the museum. So it just sort of goes through how it first came about. And Wensleydale cheese is quite famous from the Yorkshire Dales. So it's cool to see something different. We've never been to a cheese museum before, so that was quite different. And we enjoyed seeing all the different equipment that sort of progressed over the years. These were in the children's section, obviously, but I had to pick them up. So they're big on Wallace and Gromit here, because Wallace and Gromit love Wensleydale cheese. So there's lots of cool things to do with Wallace and Gromit here. They had a big knitted version of some of the characters and stuff, which was fun. And then they had some of the dates of when it was made, and any sort of landmark dates. These were our little entrance stickers from when we did the tour, and we got a free postcard as well. But yeah, I just coloured in the little drawings. And then these were some of the cheeses that we tasted. So we got all these little like business cards for each different cheese. So obviously picked them up, and these were some of my favourite ones. There was just these big bowls, and you could help yourself as much as you want. There was some that I definitely did not like. I don't like very, very old crumbly cheese, but the mature cheddar was really nice, and this Kit Calvert, that was really nice. We did actually buy some, so this was in the shop afterwards, and we did actually buy some to take home with us, which was nice. And then they did have this cool sort of like scene with Wallace and Gromit and stuff, so obviously got a picture each, just sat there, and then I put my patch in there as well. And on our way back, we made 2 stops on the way home. So the first one was to this Hardraw Force waterfall. This was a very odd place, and we were warned about it because the actual site itself is behind a pub, and in order to get there you have to go through the pub, but the pub charge an entrance fee to get through their pub. So you do have to pay to go through it. It just feels odd because it has nothing to do with the pub, it's because you have to go through it. Anyway, so we paid and we went through. It was really cool. They gave you a map of some of the walks. We only did like the main one, really, the lower walk maybe, because we were on our way home. We didn't have that much time, but it was really, really nice. So we had to like cross this nice bridge, and then these were the waterfalls here. Again, I just added another postcard. But yeah, these waterfalls were much higher from the ones we were looking at before at Ayersgarth, but these were really cool. Reminded me of Costa Rica, and I think this is where we were thinking about going to Costa Rica, because this was July last year, so we were thinking like Costa Rica was somewhere we'd like to go, and this is the sort of thing that we really enjoyed. So yeah, definitely sort of inspired us to go out and about a bit more. Just pictures of Joe and us with me with the waterfall, just enjoying it before we were heading home. Then we had Sunday lunch at a pub, but we got stuck in traffic, so we had to ring them and say we were going to be a bit late, but luckily they were fine with that. But yeah, the problem with the country roads is that when something's in the way, like if something's had an accident or there's animals on the road or something like that, it blocks up the entire road, and then you have to go all the way around. It's not an easy fix. So yeah, we got stuck behind something. I think it was a broken down tractor or something, and we had to drive all the way around. So took us an extra half hour, but yeah, it was well worth stopping at the waterfall. And then this was us going to Sunday lunch. So we went to this place called the Blue Lion, and I took this. As I said, I don't know if I should have, but it's like an exaggerated business card, but it's just got where it is on the map, and yeah, it's a really nice sort of leaflet, so I included that. And then these were some pictures. Joe again had a starter, and then this was our Sunday lunch, which was really, really nice. Again, it was very busy. We always eat quite early, I think, so we're always one of the first people in the restaurants, but then it just started getting busier and busier, but we had a really nice time. It was nice to stop on our way home before we finished. So that is everything. That was just a little 2-day trip to the Yorkshire Dales. I really enjoyed putting this together. As I said, I love doing this sort of type of scrapbooking, and the wedding album sort of stopped me from doing that because that was all pocket pages, so it was nice to get back and doing this style. So I hope you enjoyed. My next one will be my 2-day trip to Munich, Germany, for Adele, which doesn't really have much of Munich in there, but I still did a few bits and pieces, and obviously a lot of pictures of when I went to go see Adele. So hopefully it won't be too long, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much. Bye.